Hi, I'm Dawn Stefanowitz. Children are impacted long-term by their family structures, living arrangements, and cultural values. I grew up in a homosexual household in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, and as well was influenced by the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transsexual subcultures. I was exposed to various sexual practices, my father's transient relationships, their health issues, the suicides of a few of my father's partners, and my father's death to AIDS. I struggled long-term with a number of issues beginning in childhood, including insecurity, depression, sleeplessness, suicidal tendencies, anxiety, and sexuality confusion. My innocence and conscience were also impacted. Long-term, I noticed that all family members and my father's partners were also affected. Today, none of my dad's partners are alive. It took me into my late 20s, early 30s, after making major life choices to begin to realize how I'd been impacted long-term. Can you imagine being an infant and young girl growing up in an environment that had various partners and sexual practices, and how this affected my psychological well-being, my development, and my peer relationships? I believe that policies supporting same-sex domestic partnerships will dispose of unique values esteemed within marriage as recognized throughout history. Marriage needs to remain a societal foundation that constitutes, represents, and defends the inherently procreative relationship between the husband and the wife for the benefit of their biological children. Children need consistent and appropriate boundaries around emotional and sexual intimacy. When the terms sexual orientations and gender identities are included in law as protected categories, a person practicing pansexuality or diverse sexuality would be protected legally, while anyone who does not support pansexuality could be discriminated against and even criminalized. The term sexual orientation includes a person, group of persons, animals, natural or inanimate objects, legal or illegal sexual practices, whether they are privately or publicly demonstrated. These sexual practices have no restrictions based on age, blood relation, gender, or number of persons. Therefore, pedophile, incestual, bisexual group, and polygamous marriages would eventually be legalized, including the full endorsement of multiple parenting of our precious children. Did you know that only 22% of lesbian couples and 5% of gay couples actually have at least one child? Did you know that our political, social, and sexual environment around our parents is not appropriate for us as children? The impact on children is devastating, and we often don't see it for decades. To purposely, socially engineer motherless or fatherless households with various living arrangements and cultural values, sexual orientations, gender identities and expressions, and dress, it's absolutely devastating for children. Children face rejection and silencing, where we are not allowed to express our true thoughts and feelings, and we will struggle with our identity and our relationships for the rest of our lives. Children are the true victims under the banner of sexual human rights, tolerance, and sexual diversity. I'm sure you've heard of such terms as anti-bullying, safe school policies, and gay-straight alliances in our schools. They provide a direct legal entranceway of indoctrination, desensitization, and political and personal recruitment of our vulnerable children by some gay activists, while silencing all other students, teachers, administrators, and parents who disagree. Such programs do not support abstinence and man-woman marriage. Rather, they support diverse sexual practices without including the full impact of possible sexual diseases that these children are at risk of. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion are often trumped by sexual freedom, and upstanding citizens end up being silenced. The children who've contacted me from alternative households do not support same-sex relationships for the raising of children. Please defend and advance marriage as between a man and a woman to the exclusion of all others for the sake of our children. I'm an international speaker, author, and media spokesperson, supporting and advocating for children and families. Please visit my website at dawnstefanowicz.org. As well, you may want to pick up a copy of my book called Out From Under: The Impact of Homosexual Parenting, available online or by calling 1-877-421-7323. Thank you so much for your time and for listening. God bless.